But Dale and Skinner are having a party. Fantasy football's at 10 o'clock. First on ITV1, containing strong language and some scenes which you may find disturbing. Nights from Hell.
Come with us, if you dare, on a journey into the night. In Britain's bedrooms, we found people like this, asleep, but not at rest.
She's not in there.
Our special night cameras recorded bizarre behaviour and terrifying nightmares. From sleepwalkers to sleep eaters, night terrors to little terrors.
Oh, God, please let me sleep.
We entered a mysterious world ruled by primitive desires and unconscious urges.
Perhaps sleep strips away this veneer of civilization and takes us down to something deeper and more unpleasant in ourselves.
Goodbye, sweet dreams. Here come the nights from hell.
Baby, 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 baby!
After the cares of the day, the night should bring peace and tranquility. But sometimes sleep goes wrong, and the results can be very strange indeed.
I'm a light sleeper, aren't I?
Once I'm asleep, that's it. There's no waking me up.
I hear everything. I hear people walking down the road and I'm up out the curtain having a look. You don't hear anything, do you?
No.
With 8-year-old triplets to look after, Lisa and Alan Wheatley need their sleep more than most. But recently, a problem Alan had as a child has come back to haunt him.
Ever since I was little, I've sleepwalked. My sisters can remember me sleepwalking when I was little. I'd, wander downstairs, get a cup of milk, take it in the other room, put it down and go back to bed again. But it wasn't till I was actually living with Lisa, when we bought our first house, that...
We thought we had a ghost.
Yeah, we started noticing more.
Alan's behaviour at night was so strange, Lisa thought no one would believe her. Drastic action was required.
Alan was away on business, so friends of mine's got a CCTV business, and I thought, great, get him round. So he put this little camera for me up into this suitcase hanging out of a shirt pocket, so that looked like a button. All you could see was the little black bit. And then the lead went up into the loft onto the video recorder, because obviously I didn't want Alan to know it was there. And it took 4 nights, and he actually did something on the 4th night.
She just phoned me at work one day and said, I think you better come home and have a look at this.
It's midnight. Alan is still fast asleep, but he's on a bizarre mission.
He gets out of bed, he grabs the curtain pole, and he just rips it from the ceiling. No idea why, but you're aggressive, aren't you? Angry.
Throw it at you and everything, don't I?
Yeah. And you put it all back, don't you?
It wasn't me. It was someone else doing it. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, really.
Alan's weird behaviour was happening up to 2 or 3 times a week, about an hour after he fell asleep. This was strange enough, but there was worse to come. Still fast asleep, Alan's behaviour was becoming increasingly aggressive.
The curtains doesn't bother me, because he's nowhere near me. Obviously, just got to watch out for the pole if he throws it, but when you're punching in your sleep or throwing the pillows around, it's a bit worrying. Lay there thinking, please don't hit me, please don't hit me. But I don't think it is personal. You've never said my name, have you?
I finally went to the doctor and said, you've got to do something because I'm scared I'm going to hurt her. And that's when they started doing something about it.
Alan was told he has a particularly extreme form of sleepwalking. Although there's no cure, He's been prescribed sedatives which keep the behaviour under control.
He understood, he immediately gave me answers, and you kind of realise that you're not the only one out there that does it.
We spend a third of our lives asleep. Although no one knows exactly why, it's clear we can't do without it.
We know that if we're deprived of sleep, even perhaps for one night, we start showing a reduction in our performance and our ability to remember things. And if we deprive people of sleep for 2, 3, 4 nights in a row, then they can become seriously disturbed and psychotic.
This bedroom is nearly pitch black, but our infrared camera allows us to see in the dark. Hugh Mallon is fast asleep, but he's woken his wife. Jackie knows it's going to be a bad night and heads for the spare room.
Most nights, I really don't want to go to bed. I don't want to fall asleep.
The violence is the part that you worry about. That my children worry that one day perhaps I will have an unlucky knock. And they also know that it would be the last thing on this earth that Hugh would ever do to me.
Everyone's nights are disturbed from time to time by bad dreams, but the nightmares which haunt Hugh Mallon's sleep are in a different league.
It's the same thing every night. I always see there's a figure holding my arms, and the figure is a swirly grey thing, just like that painting of the Scream. It's just like that.
Until people have been through this, they don't understand how bad it is.
Now I know what hell's like.
I think that.
I think I've got a premonition of hell.
We filmed Hugh at night over 2 weeks. Episodes like this happened several times a night. In the terrifying visions he experiences, Hugh is usually being attacked and desperately tries to defend himself.
Here we are.
Like that.
When we showed Hugh the night cam footage, it made disturbing viewing.
Oh my God, Hugh. Still, you can see what it's like now, Hugh, can't you?
Really bad. Sorry, love.
It's okay.
Hugh recently spent a week under observation at the Radcliffe Infirmary in Oxford. There, doctors discovered that the dreaming phase of Hugh's sleep, known as REM, or rapid eye movement, is severely disturbed.
Mr. Mallon has what is called REM behaviour disorder. What happens is that people start acting out their dreams, and also the dream content changes. So from being very placid people in the daytime, they start having very aggressive dreams.
During the night, Hugh has kicked me out of bed, punched me, caught me in the face. I've had punches in the back, been elbowed.
I think about it a lot during the day, and it really, really worries me, because I think to myself, how long is she going to put up with this? This just can't go on. It's unnatural to expect anybody to put up with this. There's got to come a breaking point, I think, and I'm really worried about it.
Coming up, the behaviour gets stranger.
Simon's always had some kind of problem with sleep.
And the nights even more frightening.
It's almost like she glides towards me to make me feel out of control with terror and fright.
Our infrared camera sees in the dark. Simon Hall is fast asleep now, and he's still fast asleep when this happens.
Baby, 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 baby!
Simon's always had some kind of problem with sleep. He's always been a very active sleeper, if you want, for a better way of putting it.
Baby, baby, baby!
As a baby and as a toddler, he was always doing something that was very much active. That's all you can really say about Simon. He's always been a seriously active sleeper.
So how does it go?
28-year-old Simon lives with his father and sister in York. The sleep problems he's had since childhood now seem to be getting worse.
Like most people in their lifetimes, I've had situations which could quite affected me mentally. I've had a family breakup, you know, I've lost people important to me. I've also had severe head injuries a number of times. So whether it's a combination of those things or whether I'm just a fruitcake, really, I don't know.
Is this curfew to kill? Is this to kill us? Is this to kill us?
In his sleep, Simon is talking to someone who is threatening those close to him.
Well, this can kill my family and their.
Often he fights off an imaginary attacker, although for Simon, the vision is frighteningly real.
I think as I've got older, the episodes have probably got a more violent nature.
Well, sometimes it can be quite frightening because, you know, he doesn't understand and we don't understand, but we try and help him through it.
Look, you, look, bloody well, look.
He's got a very active imagination. He likes reading science fiction, and I'm sure he reads before he goes to bed and his mind takes over.
I like Star Trek, and I think those programmes and those books have probably reacted on my imagination. One of the ones that I dream about most is about little black bugs creeping all over me, and that seems to stem from, like, the Alien films.
Simon has never sought specialist help for his condition, but it does concern him. While his family have got used to his nighttime activities, they could be a shock to anyone else.
He hasn't got a partner at the moment, but I should imagine if he did, he'd probably have to go into some fair detail before she actually stopped over the night.
It's always in the back of my mind when a situation occurs with a lady. Will I do something to hurt her, you know, the first time? And yeah, I think we'll leave that one, Mike. Do you mind?
No, of course.
No, we'll leave that one.
You're going to have to take.
So if I have to go through life basically alone in the physical sense, then I'd be a lot happier because I would not have to hurt anybody, which I could quite easily do.
Baby, 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 baby! Baby, baby, baby!
It's estimated that 4% of adults sleepwalk.
Sleepwalking appears to be one of those group that we call parasomnias, and that occurs generally at a particular stage as people have gone into the deeper levels of sleep, of slow wave sleep, and yet they suddenly seem to arouse out of that.
Some people sleepwalk regularly. For others, the episode comes out of the blue, often when their normal routine is changed, as Craig Haywood found to his cost on holiday with his family in Spain.
We'd gone to sleep, we'd woken up and everything had changed, it was all different.
We'd gone out, something to eat, playing pool, you know, and we're just having a really good time basically, and then the worst happened.
Craig was 15 and had no history of sleep disorders. But on the first morning of their holiday, there was a loud knock on the door of their 7th floor apartment.
So I got up, opened the door, and there was 2 policemen stood there. And they said, in broken English, they said, "Your son, Craig," and I just turned round immediately, and he wasn't there.
No one, including Craig's brother, had seen him leave the apartment.
The thing that we thought was that they'd sneaked off out after we'd come in and gone to bed. But then I looked down and his trainers were there. And I knew he wouldn't have gone out without his trainers.
Jamie had said that he'd heard Craig get up in the middle of the night and that it was hot and that he'd gone onto the balcony to cool down.
It was really, really hot, so I thought I'd go and get some fresh air outside, so went outside to the balcony and I must have just drifted off to sleep.
The Haywoods were devastated to learn their son was in intensive care in the local hospital.
I've woken up and it's like I'm crying and I don't know where I am, don't know where Mum and Dad are, and it's just like really, really weird.
I was just heartbroken.
It began to dawn on the distraught family what had happened to Craig in the night.
He's woken up thinking he was still at home, gone to get on his bunk bed and gone over the balcony.
I just thought, I can't believe that. It was 7 stories up. It's like 85, 90 foot up in the air. And we're 7 stories up, and I was in a real state, yeah.
Doctors told Craig's parents that it was only his age, 15, and the fact that he was asleep at the time of the accident that meant he survived the astonishing fall.
Yeah, he had a compound fracture of his upper arm. The bone was sticking out of his arm.
I broke 3 bones in my back, which was quite painful, and I had pneumonia as well.
And luckily, for all of us, he landed on soft grass instead of concrete, which was 5 foot away. Or else he wouldn't be here today, that's for sure.
There have been many accidents caused by sleepwalking, but for many more of us, it's our dreams where the real terrors lie.
But from the point of view of the dreamer, the dream world seems to be incredibly significant. We've all had dreams where we've woken up and the emotional significance of the dream has really hit us. You feel that that dream is trying to tell you something, there's a message there.
One bizarre and terrifying disorder of dreaming sleep is known as sleep paralysis. It's a condition 28-year-old student Katie Haley knows only too well.
When I have the episode, usually it will stay with me for the rest of the day. I will feel quite shocked, as you would do if you'd been attacked.
Sleep paralysis refers to a symptom where the normal paralysis that we have during REM sleep persists after we've woken. And this can be terrifying to the person experiencing this because the person is awake, can see and hear everything going on around them, but is literally paralyzed and can't move.
It feels to me like I've opened my eyes and I am awake and fully conscious. And, you know, I may try and roll over or sit up or something, and I can't do it.
It's actually often associated with a sense of some kind of malign presence in the room with you. There's something or someone in there that doesn't mean you any good at all.
I don't feel terrified the moment I see her. I feel terrified before I see her. Her face is really wrinkly, sort of like an exaggerated, elderly-looking face. It's almost like she glides towards me, but it's really slowly. So it's really deliberately slowly to make me feel out of control with terror and fright. Then, you know, she starts coming closer and closer and closer. And the moment when she actually reaches up and climbs up on top of me is possibly the worst bit, because the anticipation of when she's going to reach out and touch me is horrible. She usually kneels on my chest. It's not that she puts her legs either side of me, she kneels on my chest. At this point, I'm desperately trying to physically move or scream, or make any sound at all, because it feels real. Then she reaches her hands out, and again, very slowly, very deliberately, wraps her hands around my throat and squeezes till she gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and then I can't breathe. And sometimes I've woken up with like strains in my neck from, I must be trying to strain whilst not being able to move.
Katie has experienced these terrifying hallucinations since she was 20. They happen up to twice a week.
Each time, it's never, the terror is never any less, even though at that point I know that she's just going to do it again, you know, and I know what's coming, but it doesn't get any less frightening. It's still just as terrifying.
Remarkably, the same spectre which haunts Katie's sleep has occurred widely throughout history.
In Newfoundland, they talk about the old hag. The old hag comes and she sits on the sleeper's chest and she suffocates them. If we look at Japan, they talk about kanashibari. It's a kind of nocturnal spirit attack. And my favourite, because it's so creepy, is in St. Lucia they talk about kokmar. And kokmar refers to a situation where the spirits of unbaptised children crawl onto the sleeper's chest and throttle them. I mean, it's very, very nasty.
Coming up, the sleepwalker, the sleep eater, the sleep killer.
Medically speaking, people can kill other people during sleep.
We all know the dangers of driving when we've had too much to drink. But if this man is right, there is another risk we should fear as much.
Responsible drivers will not drive over the limits of alcohol, but they're very prepared to actually drive while sleepy, not realising that their level of sleepiness impairs their driving to a state greater than if they were actually over the legal limit.
Half of these young men in Professor Horn's driving simulator have had too much to drink. The other half, too little sleep. They all showed the same problems of lane drifting, poor concentration, and ultimately loss of control.
I was travelling southbound on the M40. It was just like any other night, you know, nothing was different. It was a little bit later than the normal, but that was due to delay at the start of the shift. And I remember what I would describe as coming across as like heavy-eyed syndrome.
Peter Cuddy was an experienced truck driver with a clean record until the night of the 29th of November 2000.
I did the same as I did countless times before. I would drop the window on the other side, so as I had a through breeze going through. That would normally bring you back to the point where, you know, you're totally focused on what you're doing again.
A truck travelling on its speed limiter and being like 40 tonnes, and with the driver falling asleep at the wheel, if it hits the central reservation, will go straight through.
I feel I must have fell asleep, because the next thing I recall was raising my head, and there was an almighty bang and an immediate impact. I would say almost immediately I'd realised that I had to have hit another vehicle that had been stationary on the hard shoulder.
Peter Cuddihy's truck hit a car which had run out of petrol and stopped on the hard shoulder. Of the two friends inside, one, a young woman, survived. The other, a 27-year-old man, was killed.
I think the first moment that I realised the full horror of what had happened was when I heard a voice, which was somebody else that had stopped. When that person came round and he was in view of me for the first time, his body language said it to me. My first thoughts were, how could this have happened? How could I have caused this to happen? You just can't immediately come to terms with what you've done, I think. And you just want it to be, wake up and it be all be a dream. I just wish it could have been me and nobody else. I just can't say sorry enough times.
Peter Cuddihy wasn't seriously injured in the crash. He was charged with causing death by dangerous driving and sentenced to 12 months in jail. Many people who suffer from sleep disorders find they happen more frequently when they're stressed.
A lot of things happening in sleep, a lot of issues being resolved, which, if you do not resolve during the day, come out in sleep.
You now, get out. Get out, get out. You can't. My grandmum used to do it for a little while, but then she kind of grew out of it, and my mum vaguely remembers doing it, but they were like, oh, you'll grow out of it by the time you're like 14, 15, but I haven't really.
William. William. Were you mean William?
Who? Who's William?
After 15, 20 minutes of falling asleep, she'll just scream the house down. So it seems to me like everyone can hear it in the street. So obviously I got to try and stop her from bailing out, thinking that, you know, something's going on in the house, sort of thing.
The best way to describe 24-year-old Alex Brownsell's nights is hyperactive. It's something boyfriend Carl has had to get used to.
There's occasions where I've been waking up just where she's trampling all over me, because she'll literally get up out of the bed and she won't walk around it, she'll just go straight over the top of it. So of course I'm in the way, so I'll just get a foot in the stomach or wherever, sort of thing, you know what I mean? And she just won't know what she's doing.
I did warn you.
Yeah,
I did say to you,
yeah. She did say I do sleepwalk.
And he was like, yeah, my sister sleepwalks, that's fine. And I'm like, no, really, I do.
As well as sleepwalking, Alex does a lot of sleep talking.
Don't flick the flippin' fuckins on me. Do you know what I'm doing? You don't even fucking know what he's doing. What are you doing? What are you doing, more like?
I do use quite vulgar language sometimes. It's really bad. But I obviously can't in the day. I don't know if it's a case of, because I can't, it comes out of me at night or anything. But yeah, I don't actually know why I would do that. It's quite rude, isn't it?
Alex and Carl have noticed her sleep problems getting worse since she recently started a new, more responsible job.
I'm a nursery nurse. I've been a nursery nurse for about 8 months now, which I really enjoy, but I think it gets involved in my sleepwalking because I'm always talking to children and always coaxing them out of the wardrobe or the bedroom thinking I'm at work.
Right, go away from the window now, come on. Let's get some more toys, come on by the mat, come on then.
The responsibility in my subconscious, I'm probably thinking it is quite stressful because I've got children's lives really to look after.
She came to me because she has sleepwalking episodes. It's very common in children, but most children grow out of it. But when it persists into adult life, it usually indicates that either there are psychological factors, stress-related, or the person has not learned to resolve issues before bedtime.
Okay, now, get out. Get out, get out. You can't leave. She's not in there.
She also has what we call hypnagogic hallucinations, a big name, which just means that as you're falling asleep, you get very vivid, intense dreams, and she sees spiders and other images as she's falling asleep.
Oh. Oh, fucking hell.
But it's not just the children on Alex's mind at night.
I am boiling, I'm so hot. Even if I do say so myself.
Like a lot of people with sleep disorders, Alex was relieved to learn her condition isn't serious enough to need drug treatment.
She basically just told me to try some relaxation techniques and herbal medicine and everything. So I don't know what will happen the next time I go and see her, so we'll just have to wait and see, really.
You don't even fucking know what he's doing. What are you doing then, Mike?
I'll go to bed as normal. I'll have my meal, go to bed as normal, get into bed, and I'm told the next morning that I've got out of bed, asleep, gone out the bedroom, down the stairs, through the living room, into the kitchen, gone into the fridge and what's ever been in the fridge, prepared myself a sandwich, and gone back to bed, sat up, ate the sandwich, and just gone back to sleep.
Shop assistant Chris Pickup is one of Britain's sleep eaters. Experts call it night eating syndrome and say it affects 1 in 100 of the population.
It's been going on, must be for a good 20 years. And usually it's about twice a month. In actual fact, it happened last night. I've gone from going downstairs and making a full salad sandwich to opening a can of meat. I can get hold of a can of corned beef, for instance, and use one of those openers, you know, the key. I can do that perfectly. I can't do it when I'm awake.
Some sleep eaters target one particular food, but not Chris. He hoovers up anything he can find on his nighttime kitchen raids.
If there's been some fruit in, I've got hold of an apple, an orange, peel an orange in my sleep. I have these multi-packs of crisps, and there's certain flavours I don't like. I've never, in my sleep, never picked a bag of crisps I don't like. I always pick the flavour I like. Then we'll find the evidence the next morning. Crumbs up the stairs, there's been lettuce, trail of lettuce up the stairs. My wife's woken up and seen me feeding a dog while I've been asleep.
Experts say people like Chris often have an eating disorder, but he says he's just not hungry during the day.
People could offer me money to eat breakfast and I wouldn't do it. I just don't eat. I've known it when I've not felt like I needed to eat for 2 weeks, and I've gone out without eating for 2 weeks, nothing at all. The only time I've ever known I've done it is one particular time I got out of bed and went to the kitchen, put some toast in a toaster, and I burnt myself on the toaster, and I woke up.
Night-eating syndrome is just one example of the range of strange behaviors we're capable of in our sleep.
Well, you're certainly capable of walking, screaming, beating somebody up, injuring yourself, being antisocial, like going and passing urine in the wardrobe.
Almost anything that human beings can do, they seem to be able to do during a sleepwalking state.
Phoenix, Arizona. Police arrive at a suburban house to investigate reports of a violent attack.
Charged with homicide.
They arrest 41-year-old Scott Falater and charge him with killing his wife. At this point in January 1997, it looked like a grisly but straightforward case of first-degree murder. It seems Scott Falater had woken in the middle of the night and started working on a job he'd abandoned earlier that day by his swimming pool. Wondering what he was up to, his wife Yarmila left the couple's bedroom and approached Scott by the pool. Falater turned on his wife of 20 years. Taking a knife from his toolbox, he launched a frenzied attack on Yarmila. While the couple's 2 children slept, Falater repeatedly stabbed his wife 44 times in all. Then he changed out of his bloodied clothes. Finally, he returned to the pool where his wife lay still breathing. Falater then rolled her into the pool and held her head under the water until she drowned. This final act was witnessed by an appalled neighbor who phoned 911.
911 emergency. I don't know. My neighbors, there was a bunch of yelling and screaming going on. I looked over the fence, and the husband just threw, I believe, the wife into the pool, and looked like he's holding her underwater.
He took this knife and stabbed her over again.
For the prosecution at Scott Falater's trial, it was an open and shut case. But Falater pleaded not guilty to murder.
Obviously you think I did it. I don't know what makes you think that.
After the killing, Falater had simply gone back to bed. He told police he had absolutely no memory of what had happened.
I heard all the voices, and you guys were all over me.
At Scott Falater's trial, everyone agreed he'd killed his wife, but Falater's defense counsel said he was sleepwalking at the time.
I assumed that I must have gone crazy, or that something in my head had broken.
Is this man a murderous brute who coldly and methodically killed his wife? Or does he suffer from a little-known and often misunderstood disease?
The case gripped America. Was it possible for a man to commit murder in his sleep? Coming up.
If they are startled, they then attack.
Sleepwalker or sleep killer? He stabbed his wife 44 times and drowned her in the family swimming pool. But was Scott Falater guilty of a savage murder, or himself the tragic victim of a sleep disorder?
My own salvation was gone. My chance to live with Yarm was gone. Because of me, not her. Because of me.
The prosecution underlined the savagery of the attack.
She went down to the ground, and he continued to stab her. And he stabbed her in the back, and he just continued to stab her over and over again.
But one of America's top sleep experts testified in Falater's defense. She saw the classic signs of sleepwalking.
That's often the case in a sleepwalking episode that they start out to complete something that they hadn't finished, and if they are then interrupted, startled in doing that, they then attack.
Even Foleta's apparent attempt to cover his tracks by changing out of his bloody clothes and concealing them in the boot of his car was consistent with the actions of a sleepwalker.
He is a very tidy man. So having taken his tools out, he put on his work clothes to work on the pool. He reversed all of that. He took the tools back, he changed back into his regular clothes, put his working clothes away in their usual place.
Scott and Yarmila were childhood sweethearts. No one was able to find any motive for the crime.
From what the neighbors say, you guys have never fought before? I mean, never heard you fight or anything like that before.
I loved her.
If the jury found him guilty, Foleta would spend the rest of his life in jail.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action, upon our oaths do find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree.
Do I believe an innocent man is in jail? I sure do.
In my defense, I would say that, I could, had I thought about this and planned it, I would have done a whole lot better. I mean, the spouse is always the first suspect when someone is murdered, and I would have made sure that I was 1,000 miles away when it happened. Looking at it from a skeptical point of view, yes, you could say that there was an awful lot that happened after the initial attack, and I can understand why someone might be skeptical about that. On the other hand, I would point out to people to look at stories of what others have done in their sleep and to say that maybe what I did wasn't all that unusual.
Medically speaking, people can kill other people during sleep, but normally their inhibitions and their humanity would have completely prevented it. And perhaps sleep on occasion strips away this veneer of civilization and takes us down to something deeper and sometimes more unpleasant in ourselves.
Foleta's case is still under appeal. His defense team believe new advances in how sleep disorders are diagnosed could yet overturn the guilty verdict. For many people, the big issue with sleep is getting enough.
Sleep is essential for the brain. It's by the brain, for the brain. It's essential for nourishment of the brain. And too little sleep is as harmful as too much sleep.
When I hear the alarm clock go, because sometimes I'm just so shattered I don't hear it, but when I do, it's just, no, it can't be the morning, because you think, I've only just gone to bed.
Can I see?
Experts say the foundations of a healthy sleep pattern are laid early in life. If they're right, Kirk and Anita Owers have got a problem on their hands with 3-year-old daughter Amy.
No, I'm giving you a plaster. Oh. Bum bum, bum bum, bum bum, bum bum.
She may be an angel in the day, but at night she turns into a little monster.
Oh, that's lovely.
Once again, we installed a special night camera to investigate.
I thought baby slept. She never did from day one.
Amy's always been very active. She's full of beans, is probably the best way to describe her.
Oh, take his medicine.
Everything that she's done during the day seems to come back to her during the night.
Amy regularly wakes up to 5 or 6 times a night. Each time she calls for her parents and won't go back to sleep unless Kirk or Anita are with her. The Owers nights have turned into an endless game of musical beds.
You can literally put your head on the pillow, you can just feel yourself nodding off and then something happens and your whole stomach sinks. You think, oh God, you know, please let me sleep.
Thank you, Mummy.
And so you're waking up absolutely shattered and you do sort of wonder how you're going to get through the whole day, because Amy is full of beans, even though she's not had a full night of sleep.
This so bad. He played one. He played that more fun.
Amy.
It was time for a visit from the sleep fairy. Mandy Gurney specialises in children's sleep problems.
So once you've gone through the bedtime routine, for night one, the important thing will be to be this side of the bed.
Mandy from the Millpond Children's Sleep Clinic in London recommends a series of practical changes to the bedtime routine.
Start tonight and see how we get on.
Oh, well done.
From now on, Amy will be given half an hour to wind down at the end of the day. Kirk and Anita also introduce a new distancing program to get Amy used to going to sleep with her parents further and further away. Finally, when Amy does wake up in the night, she's guided gently back to her own bed. The overall aim is to reward good behavior and get Amy used to the idea that she can go to sleep on her own. Meanwhile, in Newport, the Mallons are hoping that a new drug regime prescribed by their doctor will ease their problems. In York, Simon Hall has decided to see a sleep specialist about his condition. And in Manchester, Chris Pickup's wife has taken to leaving him a sandwich in the fridge for when he gets hungry in his sleep. Back in Maidstone, just 1 week later, the new regime at the Owers is already showing results. But the nights from hell are not quite over yet.
Well, with their thoughts on tonight's Euro 2004 action, it's Badil and Skinner next with fantasy football. In fact, they'll join us in just a moment with all the details of the programme. The ITV News is at 10:30 and later at 11 with all the highlights of tonight's Euro 2004 action.